Batman. Everybody knows Batman, the rich guy, the hero, the man with a plan. But few truly understand Bruce Wayne, the boy who kept bleeding long after. Batman didn't start in a cave. He started in an alley, beside two dead bodies, with blood covering his hands that wasn't his. This is no superhero story. It's the story of a boy who lost everything and decided the world wasn't taking anything else from him again. Bruce was 8 years old. 8. He went to a movie with his parents. Scared, he wanted to leave early. They walked down a dark alley. A figure stepped forward. A gun, 2 shots, silence. Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, dead. The boy just stood still. That moment didn't just kill his parents. It killed Bruce's childhood, his safety, his innocence, his future. That night, Bruce Wayne stopped being a child and started becoming a scar dot. People think Bruce Wayne grew up rich. No, he grew up alone. A mansion with empty rooms, 2 chairs at the table that never filled again, a butler trying to raise a broken child who wouldn't be a child. Night after night, Bruce relived that alley. He didn't dream of toys or school. He dreamed of the gun, the sound, the fall. Fear became his only friend, and instead of running from it, Bruce decided to master it. Bruce didn't heal. Bruce trained. He left Gotham, and he spent his whole life preparing for a war that nobody else even saw coming. He trained with killers, with monks, with soldiers, with criminals. He learned every language, every weapon, every combat style, not because he wanted to win, but so that he could never be helpless again. Every bruise, every broken bone, every scar, all easier than that alley. When Bruce came back to Gotham, crime had spread. Corruption, drugs, murder. The city that killed his parents was rotting. So Bruce became the thing criminals fear most. He chose the symbol of his own child terror, the bat. Batman was not a hero costume. It was a weapon, a promise to the dead, a message to criminals. I am what you created. Batman doesn't sleep. He doesn't celebrate birthdays. He doesn't take vacations. He doesn't stop. Every night is war. Gotham never heals. Every villain he defeats is replaced by another. The Joker, Two-Face, Scarecrow, Bane, each one tearing a different wound into his soul, especially the Joker. The Joker doesn't want to kill Batman. He wants to break him. The Joker shoots Barbara Gordon, paralyzes her, just to hurt Jim Gordon, just to hurt Batman. Bruce carries the guilt. Every broken person in Gotham feels like his failure. He saves the city every night, yet the city never saves him. Bruce loves Selina Kyle. He loved Wonder Woman. Every time, love ended in loss. Because Batman can't have a normal life. He can't have children, family, peace. The mission always comes first. The cowl always wins. Robin, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne. Children thrown into war. Jason Todd is beaten to death by the Joker. Bruce finds the body, and the guilt almost destroys him. He keeps fighting, because stopping means remembering. Bane breaks Bruce's body. Spine shattered. Batman defeated. Gotham falls into chaos. Bruce drags himself back. He climbs out of the pit not with strength, but with pain. Batman is surrounded by people, yet he is alone. He keeps secrets from everyone, because if he stops being Batman, Bruce Wayne dies too. Batman never healed. He never moved on. He simply turned his pain into purpose. While the world sleeps, a broken man protects it, not for glory, not for thanks, but because once upon a time, no one defended him, and he made a conscious decision that would never happen again. Batman is not a hero. He is a wound that learned how to fight back. 2. As Spider-Man. Everybody thinks of Spider-Man as the funny hero. You know, the jokes, the flips, the friendly neighborhood savior. But Peter Parker is one of the most tortured souls in the superhero world, because Spider-Man doesn't fight crime for fame. He fights it because every time he stops, someone he loves dies. Peter Parker was never popular, bullied, ignored, invisible. His parents were gone. He lived with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. The only thing Peter ever wanted was to belong somewhere. One radioactive spider bite. Strength, speed, power. And for the first time, Peter felt special. But power doesn't make you a hero. Choice does. Peter lets a criminal escape. It's not my problem. That same man murders Uncle Ben. Peter learns the most painful lesson of his life. With great power comes great responsibility. That sentence becomes his curse. Peter becomes Spider-Man, and Peter Parker begins to disappear. Missed classes, missed birthdays, missed relationships. He saves strangers while losing everybody close to him. Gwen Stacy, the love of his life. The Green Goblin throws her off a bridge. Peter tries to save her. He fails. Gwen dies in his arms. That moment destroys him. Every villain targets Peter's heart. Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Venom. They don't just attack his body, they attack Aunt May, Mary Jane, his friends, his future. Peter can't keep a job. He can't pay rent. He can't finish college on time. He is saving the world, while the world keeps crushing him. Aunt May is shot. Peter begs. He would trade anything to save her, and he does. He makes a deal with Mephisto. His marriage, his future, erased. just to keep her alive. Peter watches his friends move on, families, careers, happiness. He stays behind, alone. Because Spider-Man never gets to stop, Peter could walk away. He never does. Because every screen reminds him of Uncle Ben. Every funeral reminds him of Gwen. Every tear reminds him of himself. Spider-Man isn't the strongest. He's not the richest. He's not the smartest. He's just the one who never gives up, even when life destroys him again and again. Spider-Man is not a hero because he wins. He is a hero because he keeps standing even when life has taken everything from him. Wolverine. Everyone knows Wolverine as the feral one, the claws, the rage, the growl that sounds like an animal cornered by fate. But that isn't his true story. Logan's real tragedy isn't the violence. It's that he lived 100 lifetimes and lost every single one of them. He wasn't born a weapon. He was born James Howlett in the 1800s, a sickly, fragile child, too weak for a world that could crush him, bullied, isolated, always watching from the edge of life, never truly a part of it. Then one night, everything ends. His father is murdered before his eyes. Something inside the boy shatters, not gently, not slowly, but with a sudden fracture. Bone claws tear through his hands as a scream fills the room. Blood, terror, a child discovering he is a monster. He runs into the woods, shaking, bleeding, sobbing, afraid of what he has become. And from that moment forward, James Howlett is dead. Only Logan remains. From that night on, his life becomes an endless march through history. Civil war, world wars, battles that tear nations apart. He bleeds for countries that never learn his name. He saves men who grow old. Immortal in a world that refuses to let him belong. Time moves on. Logan does not. Every woman he ever loves dies. The Silver Fox, Mariko, Jean Grey. The world takes from him, one by one. Logan is forced to remember every smile, every touch, every promise that time will never keep, and he is cursed with survival. The pain does not fade. It only grows heavier. They capture him, experiment on him, erase his memories, rip his past away, coat a skeleton in adamantium, not to save him, but to use him. They do not see a man. They see a weapon. When he finally escapes, he does not even know who he is. No name, no history, no family, only pain. He wanders the world like a ghost, searching for his own life, trying to remember what it means to be human. Then Charles Xavier offers him a home, the first real family he has had in over a century. But Logan never believes he deserves it. He stands at the edge of their happiness, afraid that if he steps closer, fate will punish him again. He loves her, and he cannot have her, and eventually he is forced to kill her, the woman he loved most, with his own hands. In another future, he is controlled and wakes up in a world where every X-Man is dead by his claws. He carries their bodies, their blood, their final screams locked inside his mind forever. The world ends. Mutants die. Logan survives. Again, he buries everyone. Again, time keeps moving. Pain keeps growing. And still, Logan walks forward, till one day he meets a child who carries his blood, his curse, his legacy. And for the first time in his life, Logan chooses how his story ends. Not in rage, not in war, not as a weapon, but as a protector. Wolverine's tragedy is not that he suffers. He remembers. And even after losing everything, after a century of funerals, after a lifetime of blood and ghosts, he keeps fighting. Wolverine is not a hero because he is strong. He is a hero because, even after the world has broken him 1,000 times, he still chooses to protect a world that never once protected him. Scarlet Witch. Everyone is afraid of the Scarlet Witch. The chaos, the power, the destruction. But Wanda Maximoff was never a monster. She was just a little girl who kept on surviving things no human heart was ever meant to survive. Wanda was 10 years old the first time the world ended. A missile tore through her home. The walls collapsed. The ceiling fell. Her parents were gone in but an instant. No goodbyes, no final words, just silence and blood and rubble. Wanda and her twin brother Pietro were buried alive for 2 days, trapped beneath the ruins of their childhood, breathing dust and smoke. 2 days staring at another unexploded missile lodged in the floor beside them. It had a name written on it. Stark. 2 children, holding hands, waiting to die. That is where Wanda's childhood ended. They survive, but survival is not the same as living. Then came Ultron, a monster born from human arrogance. A war they helped create, trying to stop the war that had already destroyed their lives. Sokovia fell from the sky, and amidst that destruction, Wanda lost the one person who understood her pain without words. Pietro, her twin. Her other half, the only one who remembered who she was before the world shattered. He died saving Hawkeye and a child. Wanda screamed, and the universe listened. After that, the Avengers became her family. For the first time since childhood, she began to smile again, to believe that maybe, just maybe, the future could be different. For the very first time in her life, Wanda found peace. Then Thanos arrived. The universe demanded its due. Vision had to die. Wanda had to do it. She cradled the man she loved and destroyed him with her own hands. Then Thanos rewound time and killed Vision again, right before her eyes. No mercy, no escape, just agony layered on agony. Her soul splintered. 5 years drifted by. Everyone else moved on. Wanda had nothing left to cling to, so she forged a world where pain could not reach her. A small town, a home, a husband, children born of grief and longing. Not because she was evil, but reality had become too hard to bear. When that world collapsed, she was alone once more. She then turned to the Darkhold, a book that feeds on pain. Grief became an obsession, loneliness became fury, and Wanda Maximoff finally was the Scarlet Witch, not from hunger for power but from drowning and loss. She destroyed the Darkhold in the end. Every copy, every trace. She collapsed the mountain on herself, and for the first time she let go. Wanda Maximoff was never born evil. She was born of loss. The Scarlet Witch is not the most powerful Avenger, but the one who lost the most and still stood up again and again. Deadpool, before the jokes, before the mask, before the insane healing and the chaos that made the world laugh, there was Wade Wilson, just a normal man with a broken past trying desperately to hold onto something real, something warm, something that made life feel worth surviving. And when he finally found it in Vanessa, it felt like the universe had finally stopped punishing him for existing. And then cancer arrived like a death sentence written by the universe itself, tearing his body apart cell by cell, while he stood there helpless, watching the life he had just started building slowly collapse in his hands. And worse than the disease was the way he looked at Vanessa and believed she deserved someone whole. And in that loneliness, in that fear, he agreed to a promise of a cure that was really just a doorway into hell, where his body was tortured beyond imagination, drowned, burned, broken, frozen, suffocated again and again until pain became the only language his nerves understood, until his mind shattered and his soul begged for silence. And when the healing finally triggered, it didn't save him. It transformed him into something that couldn't die, but also couldn't live. His face destroyed. He came out as a wounded animal, angry, lost, hiding behind jokes because laughter was the only thing keeping the screaming inside him from tearing him apart. And the cruelest part was knowing that even after surviving hell, he believed he had lost the one person who made it worth surviving in the first place. So he chose the mask, not to hide from the world, but to hide from himself, from the reflection that reminded him of everything he had lost. And he turned his pain into chaos, his grief into violence, his loneliness into noise, because silence was where the memories lived. And even after finding Vanessa again, even after being loved again, the damage never truly left him. Because you don't walk through death and torture and identity loss and come out untouched. You carry it every day, behind every joke, every reckless fight, every self-destructive decision. There is a man who once wanted nothing more than a quiet life with the woman he loved, and who paid for that dream with his body, his face, his sanity, and a piece of his soul that never fully came back. Moon Knight isn't just fighting villains. He's wrestling with the ghostly remnants of a childhood that never ended, memories that scratch at his brain and refuse to let go. He wages a war within himself that nobody can see, because Mark Spector's life was never about heroes and monsters. It was about survival. Mark grows up in a house where love dies too soon, where silence is dangerous, and where grief gets twisted into violence. His brother's death is an accident. It comes in one moment, born of a single mistake, and shatters everything. To his mother, Mark stops being a son. He is the surviving sibling, the living reminder of all that had been lost, and her pain becomes fists and screaming and cruelty, day after day, year after year. Mark is too young to comprehend hate, too young to understand grief, so his mind does the one thing it can to endure, breaks. And with that fracture, Stephen Grant is born a boy who doesn't remember the screaming, who lives in a world of movies and dreams and gentle voices. A boy created so Mark doesn't have to feel the pain. While Stephen dreams, Mark grows older in a body that keeps moving forward even as a soul remains frozen in terror. He runs. That is when a god answers. Khonshu offers him life, not mercy, not peace, but life with chains. Mark accepts because broken people don't get choices. They get survival. He becomes Moon Knight, a weapon wrapped in white, servant of vengeance, man who hunts monsters even as he is one. Mark and Stephen struggle inside of him. They argue. They are afraid of each other. They don't know who's real, who they are. Then comes Layla. She loves Mark. She believes in him, and that belief scares him. For Mark's life is poison. Anyone who comes close to him bleeds. So he lies. He hides. He hurts her to protect her, the way broken people always do. And then the walls break down. The memories come back. The abuse, the screaming, the closet, the belt, the child crying alone while the world acts like it hears nothing. Mark finally sees the truth. Stephen wasn't weakness. He was survival. He was the kid who chose to keep alive. Mark faces again the prospect of death. This time, though, he also faces himself. Not the soldier, not the killer, not the god's weapon, not the child. He stops running. He accepts accepts every broken piece of who he is. Because Moon Knight isn't a hero because he is powerful. He is a hero because he endured what should have destroyed him. Moon Knight isn't one man. He is the scars of a child, the will of a survivor, the proof that even the most broken minds can still choose to live. Bonus 7. Doctor Strange. Before the magic, before the cloak, before the eye of Agamotto, there was a man who had it all and then lost everything. Stephen Strange was not just a doctor. He was the doctor. The hands every hospital whispered about, the name every surgeon feared, the mind that never failed. He didn't walk into an operating room, he owned it. Lives were not people to him. They were trophies, numbers, proof that he couldn't be beaten. And then, one night, the universe said he had already lived too long at the top. A car, a road, a moment of arrogance. A glance away from the wheel, metal screamed, glass exploded, the world folded in on itself. Stephen Strange survived the crash, but his hands did not. The one thing he really loved were destroyed. In 1 second, he didn't just lose his career, he lost himself. Months went by, surgery after surgery, doctor after doctor, hope after hope. Millions of dollars plowed in to fix what could never be fixed. Christine tried to stay. She tried to love him through the anger, the bitterness, the rage. But Stephen Strange wasn't in pain. He became pain. And eventually, she left. The world moved on. Stephen Strange did not, until he heard a story. A place. Kamartaj, where the impossible became possible. The Ancient One didn't heal him. She ruined him. She broke his perception of reality, tore his mind apart, showed him the endless, the eternal, the terrifying truth that he was never in control. He learned magic, but more than that, he learned humility. Suffering carved it into him. Then Dormammu came, an endless time loop, a bargain made with blood and pain. Stephen Strange died, again and again, thousands of times. Each death counted. Each one lasted. He did it not for glory. He did not do it for applause. He did it because someone had to, so the world could live. From that moment, Stephen Strange stopped being just a man and became a wall between reality and annihilation. While the world slept, the future arrived. 14,605 possibilities, he saw them all. Every victory, every defeat, every universe where his friends died. Only one path led to salvation. Only one, and it needed a price no one else would pay. Tony Stark's life. Years of guilt. Being misunderstood. Being hated. Strange chose it. Because heroes don't pick what feels right. They pick what hurts the most if it keeps the world alive. He didn't become a hero because he wanted to. He became one because he was the only person willing to lose everything so that everyone else wouldn't have to. If you like this video, turn on the notification bell and subscribe for more.